Friday. I am super pumped for today. Unfortunately, no beer today. I'm taking a bit of a break from the booze. So yeah, no beer in hand today. I did have some water in a jar, but I've also drank a lot of that as well. Just having a bit of a health kick. Going to try and do a month. Yeah, just love the booze. But Frothy Friday, guys, it's been what a fantastic week. Except the fact that it's been a million degrees right now. I'm not sure what it's like, but in WA it's super hot at the moment. So yeah, hopefully everyone's staying in the cool. Our aircon is still getting fixed, so we're all cooking in here, and I've got a little fan blowing on me, and yeah, so it's just hard times. It makes everything that little bit more stressful. But look, let's just get straight in. We've got a fair bit to cover off today. So as always, guys, if you have any questions that you want to ask specifically while we're on these lives, just put them in the chat in LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, wherever you're watching this. Just put it in the chat, and I'll endeavour to answer them as I go. So without further ado, let's just get straight into it. So the first question we have here today is, I did write it down. There it is. So first question is, how can I gain followers on my socials for my small business? So this is a question I get asked a little bit, not very often, but when I do get asked, it does lead to interesting conversations. So ultimately, a lot of business owners are doing a lot. They get told they need to do social media, so they put a lot of time, effort, and energy into it. And to be fair, we do as well. We have a full-time internal marketing team, 2 people on it, that their only job is, amongst a few other things, is to do our social media. But yeah, how to get more followers, how to gain more followers on social media. I think philosophically, I think a lot of businesses just do their social media wrong and give people no reason to actually follow them. So, let's talk about the pragmatic stuff. So the immediate first thing you should do is invite your friends, family, and foes into your social media accounts. That's like the first thing you should do. That got us from 0 to 200, pretty much like that. So I asked the team, said, everyone, can you invite your friends and family? Because they should be supporting you, right? They should be your cheerleaders. Now that will get you to 100, 150, 200. And for most businesses, that's all you kind of need from a social proof perspective. But if you're actually trying to build an audience on social media that will actually engage with you and want to work with you, there's a few philosophical things you need to understand about social media. And the first thing, when I speak to businesses, the first thing I always see, or in most social media accounts, is that, and I covered this last week, I think, is that everyone uses it as a push platform. Think of social media as like being down the pub with your mates, networking, or a business networking event. This is the best way to think about social media. And so you're down the pub with your mates, or you're at a business networking event. That would be like LinkedIn. You're down there, and most business owners, this is a little bit of what they do. They literally on their social media do this. Oh, we just hired this new person. Oh, did you know we did this? Oh, do you know we sell that? Do you seriously walk into a networking event or go to a pub or go somewhere and just like broadcast how good you are? I don't know many business owners that do that in real life. So why is social media any different? Why do people use the business social media accounts as like one outlay, like broadcast channel? You need to treat your social media like it's a networking tool. Like you're sitting at a networking event, or you're sitting at a pub and you're having conversations. That's honestly, that is the best way to think about it. Think about a new follower is like joining your network, is like a new person joining a networking event. Generally, you'll walk up to them. You might start talking to them. You'll say what you do. Then you'll answer their questions that they have. Because generally, most conversations will go, oh, I'm Joe. I'm a plumber. Oh, okay. Where do you work? What kind of things you worked on? And then someone that's good at talking might go, well, where are you based, and things like that. That's you're trying to create engagement with social media. So the best way to actually get followers on social media is to actually post content that's engaging and content that provides value. These Frothy Fridays are part of our engagement strategy on social media. This is the same thing as me going down to a pub and having conversations with people that want to learn about marketing. That is the way we treat our social media. Yeah, we post the odd thing about how we built this new website and stuff, but if you look at it as a ratio to push to pull, it's actually quite a even spread there. So that is the single easiest, best way to get followers on social media, is to provide value. if you provide value, then people will just discover you in their travels, especially if the content provides a lot of value and people are then become advocates of what you do. And that works really well. And it doesn't necessarily, you don't have to be a marketing agency to produce that value. If you're a plumber, get online and tell people how to fix things. There's not everyone is going to be able to use you or afford your service. So you might as well provide the value. And it doesn't necessarily mean they're going to do it themselves, right? So I would always say that is a big miss there, is like everyone talks about how good they are and the services they offer, but they don't necessarily provide any value. And, if you were standing in a pub doing what most people do in social media, people would be like, oh, this guy's real arrogant. So like that's what I would say to that. So the next question, why I think having a personal connection with your clients is important. This is an interesting one. So it's just something that we've spoken about in the office here a few times. Oh, sorry, Mandalorian. My bad. It's something we've spoken about in the office fairly regularly about the importance of our communication. Ultimately, I think the reason why communication is so important, personal communication, is because in every industry you've got to have some point of difference. Even the marketing, we do good websites and we do good marketing and SEO and stuff, but what is our actual core point of difference? I like to think is we actually care about the people we work with. But a lot of times, especially in this industry, people don't make that personal connection with their clients. But, I think the reason for that is because social media, going back to that, and the web has removed a lot of those links. You think about how business was done 40 years ago before social media. Yeah, you had to advertise in the newspaper and stuff like that, but it was all about your relationships you held. It was all about who you knew. It was all about referrals. It was all about hitting the pavement and kissing babies. That's what it was about. And I feel like a lot of that's missed, but a lot of the big businesses out there, they started their reigns by someone knocking on doors or, building relationships and key relationships. So, I think personal connections with your clients is a big part of that. And some of the stuff we're implementing this year is hug fields into our CRM system. So every client we got is in a customer relationship management tool or client relationship management tool. And we are adding hug fields to those. So we're going to, obviously birthdays and things like that, but like what car they drive, if they're into cars, what are their hobbies, and their kids, how old are their kids and things like that, so that we can be a little bit more personable. And, let's say there's a kid's birthday, like sending a little gesture to, things we're going to start doing here are like, if it's your kid's birthday and we know that you are like, you're very family orientated, we might buy you a pass to the local inflatable world or the local swim, whatever. That's the kind of personal relationship we're talking about. And some people think it's tacky, but honestly, I think when the gesture's thinly veiled, it's tacky. But if we take the time to learn that you are a massive into fishing and it's your birthday and we wish you happy birthday and we buy you a little $50 gift voucher for BCF, what is that going to do? It could make your day. It could make your week, because, people forget that. People forget that we're all human beings with likes and dislikes. I always bring this up when I talk to clients about how important knowing your clients are and building personal relationships are. I used to be in agriculture. That's the tractor here. I used to be in agriculture. And one of the biggest things I remember from that is a story I got told where sales in agriculture is about buying machinery, and the machinery is very bloody expensive, almost too expensive if you ask me. But basically what we did is, so this lady said in passing when we were signing this deal, going to her husband, going, you better bloody like this machine because we're missing out on the kitchen because of this. And, I caught wind of that. I heard, and I was like, okay, I'm going to keep that in the back of my mind. So what we always do whenever someone would buy a machine with us is we'd buy them a gift or give them a gift card or a night at Crown or things like that. So what we actually do this time is we actually gave her a voucher for Harvey Norman, and and just wrote on the card and said, look, hopefully this goes a little way to your new kitchen in the future. Yeah, I'm getting emotional thinking about it because she was so taken aback by the gesture It wasn't even the amount of money. It was a $200 voucher. You can't buy anything for that, right? Like in the kitchen. But it was a gesture. We actually took notice of what she was saying, made a conscious effort to go, actually, she is missing out on this stuff. Or, hopefully this helps it along a little bit. If people just open their ears more and listen to what people were actually saying and reading between the lines, you could build personal connections almost instantly. And the secret of marketing is getting eyeballs and attention for cheap. If you really boil it down, that's all we do in marketing is try and get eyeballs and attention for as cheap as possible, a lot of the time. And if no one's doing this stuff, or if everyone's forgotten the lost art of actually being a decent human being and actually caring about what other people think and say, and actually trying to make a personal connection in business, then the eyeballs and the impressions are cheap. Like we could send someone, we know they're in the fishy, send them a $50 BCF voucher, just go and look, hopefully you get hopefully this goes towards a rod or something like that in the card, and that will do more than us giving them a $500 discount on their service. That's the way I look at it. So like you can put it to a tangible ROI as well. I just think a lot of people don't give enough weight to personal connections in business, and it's always been the secret to us. This marketing space is full of cowboys and full of people that want no interaction with the people they're working with, and we're the opposite. We pride ourselves on the way we communicate, good or bad, and that's part of it. So speaking of which, the next question is about branding, which is something that I'm very passionate about, which is my thoughts on why branding is your most important asset. Just wanted to give my thoughts on this. I do say this to people a lot when they come and see me and they have a very generic business name, something like XXX Plumbing or Launceston Plumbing. Now, from a practical standpoint, a very good name to have because you get more business that way, whatever, it has tangible benefits. But I always advise that spending any money on building your brand when your brand isn't defendable is is a very, very hard, it's not smart, because all it takes is someone to open up Launceston Plumbing Services and to pick up Vayrent. Okay, hello Hannah, nice to meet you. And pick up that traffic, and basically you've wasted years and years of branding. So I would say the reason why I think branding is your most important asset is I like to use myself as an example for a lot of stuff, and branding is no exception to that. We spent a lot of time. I lie. We didn't spend a lot of time coming up with a brand. The brand just kind of naturally fell into place. But we've spent a lot of time, energy, and money building the brand, building the Mindline Guy brand. The writing on the back of the shirts, everything in this business is very deliberate by design. Because in marketing, with what we do, like I said at the start, what is our USP? A lot of people's USP is doing good work. Well, that should be just the standard for working in the industry. But our brand is defensible. That's why we spend so much time, energy, and money. It's even trademarked. So no one can just start my online guy websites.com.au because I could sue them basically. But every dollar, the way I look at branding especially is every dollar I spend on my online guys branding, because it's unique and it represents us and it's everywhere, is an investment long term, because the only defensible thing we have in the market is our brand. The work and everything like that, it's not defensible. It's a very subjective thing. So if you're Launceston Plumbing Services and you go and spend this much money, time, and energy into the Launceston Plumbing Services brand, put your glasses on. Okay. Yeah. So I do look like the logo. If I was to do my hair, I do look like that's where it came from, if anyone's curious. But Launceston, if you would put the same energy, time, and effort that we put into our brand into Launceston Plumbing Services, all it honestly would take is someone to start up Launceston Plumbing, have a similar looking logo, and you've just wasted years and years of branding, because you're basically just giving one of your competitors a leg up. So it's the single most important thing a business has. And I want to qualify, it doesn't even need to be that good. It just needs to be unique and defensible. So, if I was a plumber, I wouldn't call myself, Jimmy's Plumbing Service. I would call myself like the Tap Man, or, Tap Dude, or something like that, or, Mr. Drains, or something like that. Something that people will tie to us as a business. And if I spend $1 on the branding, I'm not going to lose it to a competitor at some point in the future. That's what I mean. So like, it doesn't even have to be as cool and sweet as our brand. I think our brand's the best personally. But yeah, it does need to be defensible. Like, there's a guy in town called the White Ant Man, and I was like, oh, when I see one of his vans flying around, I know it's him. Whereas, if someone's called Mandra Plumbing Services, I'm like, well, I don't know if that's John or Jack. So I think it's definitely worth investing time and energy and effort into a brand. And it doesn't have to be as much as we have, but long term, you'll be better off. So Traction and EOS, my thoughts and progress. So this may bore some people out there, but I just wanted to, this is more like, oh, jeez. Got a big stain on my shirt. Sorry about that. Talking about brand, we're pretty blue collar here. The stains are par for the course. But yeah, we were talking about Traction and EOS, entrepreneurial operating system. So basically, there's a book called Traction, and in this book they talk about this entrepreneurial operating system, and basically the principle is aligning everyone in your team to working towards like goals, essentially, right? So I don't explain it that well, but basically the premise is everyone in a business is like effectively swimming in different directions with different motives. And what the entrepreneurial operating system is like, it creates lines of communications and clear objectives that align everyone, essentially. So what we've done is we started our process with EOS. Now, we were very fortunate that we worked with a gentleman named Dave Clare before this, who helped articulate our vision, our mission, and our goals and things like that. So implementing the EOS system was actually quite a lot easier because we kind of had it all already there. But basically, we set up, we had a quarterly meeting. This is about 2 weeks ago. The leadership team, so 5 of us, sat in a room for basically a whole day. And what we did is went through the accountability chart. So we have an accountability chart where everyone in the business has different things they're accountable to. So it's not an organizational chart and the fact that I'm your boss. It's more like, okay, Jimmy, as the guy that does the sales, this is the things you're accountable for. Doing proposals, doing whatever. There's a list, and everyone's got 4 or 5 things they're accountable for in the business. Everyone, including the people at the lowest parts of the tree and people at the top of the tree like myself. From there, we defined our vision and our mission, and we defined where we wanted to be in 3 years and where we wanted to be in a year. So I'll be very transparent. This time in 3 years, I want to be doing $2 million a year in revenue. That's our 3-year goal. So that's everything we're doing is working towards doing that. So if I was to just walk into our office and go, guys, in the next 3 years, I want to get to $2 million in revenue yearly, they would be like, okay, what now? Or how do we get there? So what you do is you make it a 1-year goal, and then you actually break it down into quarterly rocks. And these rocks they're not novel, but they're quite a good idea. So everyone in quarterly meetings focuses on targets. So like, we need to do X amount of revenue or whatever, but the quarterly rocks are essentially there to build the bedrock of a bigger structure. So like, if our quarterly rocks are things that are going to be permanently changed in this business to move us closer to that goal. So one of our quarterly rocks from memory is to book 2 appointments, set up our outreach strategy to book 2 appointments a day by the 31st of March. That's one of our rocks. So then from there, you come up with the personal, like the scorecard to determine whether you're moving towards that goal/rock or not. But one of the big takeaways from the quarterly meeting is that we tabled all the issues we could think of as a collective leadership team. And I swear 5 of the 6 issues in this meeting that we all tabled about 4 or 5 each, were the same thing, just written differently. And that's the flow of information through the business. So our big quarterly rock this year is to improve this quarter is to implement our project management system. So the flow of information in the business is done through one system. That's our big quarterly rock, because if we do that, it then allows, it then improves, it then helps us move closer to our yearly goal and 3 yearly goals. So that's what we've been implementing, that amongst a few other things. And yeah, we're 3 weeks in now, and we've had our weekly meetings once a week, an hour and a half, where the leadership team sits down, goes through the rocks, go through there, brings up any issues they may have. And we're actually starting to make progress for the first time in 2 years towards a clearly defined goal. Because up until this point, we were just like catching our tails. You know, we'd grown so fast that we were just catching up to where we were, you know, where we were supposed to be. Now we're kind of steadied out, and we're not hitting a plateau, but we've definitely steadied out. It gives us a little bit more time to focus on the rocks that will build us this yearly objective, which will build us, which is our yearly objective is 1.800 or 1 million, something like that. And then will get us to 2 million a year. That is our objective. And our rocks are heading us towards that. So far, so good. So our progress. So my thoughts on the EOS system is that it's a pain in the ass to implement, and it takes a lot of energy and effort, and someone's got to champion it in the business, which happens to be me. But we are starting to see tangible results from it. Everyone is knowing what they're in charge of, and they're working towards getting it done, which is amazing. And as we grow bigger, I know for a fact our culture and our vision and our mission is going to get carried through the business, which is exciting as well. So internal marketing. So last question for the day: internal marketing teams versus external marketing teams. Which one is better? Now, as always, it depends on the specific situation, but I'll just talk about this in general. So we work with some big clients, and we also work with some small clients. We have a good mix of both, but the bigger clients, our biggest client has 6 people in their internal marketing team. Now, not everyone is in the position to have that many people in their marketing team. Most people will have one internal marketing person that may do admin as well. That's generally the setup of most people. Now, the reason why I think an external marketing team is subjectively better than an internal marketing team is for one reason only. Yes, one of the disadvantages is that we don't have the inside lane. We can't disseminate information and receive information as quick. But a lot of business, and this is a lot of the fault of the businesses, not the person doing the marketing. A lot of the businesses that have an internal marketing person just expect way too much from one person. So I have a room of 9 people sitting in the office next to us that do a whole range of different services. You know, we do Google ads, Facebook ads, content, social media, websites, SEO, funnel strategy, email marketing. There's 8 people right there, right? Or 9 people right there. Now, a lot of businesses will expect one person to be able to do that, and it's impossible. And even if you're paying 200 grand a year, it'd still be impossible. So why an external market team is good is because generally it's cost effective, if not cheaper, than having an internal person. But then you get access to 9 heads, 10 heads, 4 heads, whatever this agency has staffing wise. You have access to a lot more heads and a lot more thoughts and ideas. So that's my opinion on that. Which I think, you know, look, I've made that. For some circumstances, internal marketing team is way better. You know, we work with a company we're under an NDA with, but we work with a company that, you know, they're way better to have internal team because their checks and balances and their compliance is so much higher. So we wouldn't even be able to do half the stuff that they need to be able to do because we don't have access to the compliance levels. So that's you know, horses for courses. But I would say in general, if you're a small business, an internal marketing team is, you know, unless you're very realistic about the role, which is marketing coordination. So if their job is to coordinate the marketing and find people like ourselves to do specific parts of it, then that's actually the best result. But most people they hire a marketing person internally and go, okay, well, you're now in charge of Google ads, Facebook ads, email marketing, doing the newsletter, you know, doing the flyers, doing the brochures, making videos. When really, you know, most of marketers spend their whole working career specializing in one area because it's so broad and so much to learn. So I think, I think it's just unrealistic to ask so much from one person, but that's just my thoughts. But guys, unless there's any specific questions coming up right now, I'm going to head off. I've got a lot to do. I've got proposals coming out of my ears. But thanks for tuning in. It was a little bit quieter today for some reason. Maybe I didn't set it up properly. Normally you get 5 or 6. We only had 1 or 2 people in today, but that's fine. it's about consistency and showing up every week and just showing up every week. So thanks for everyone who tuned in today. Hopefully you got some insights, and I look forward to seeing you all next week.